Hey guys, Mo here with High Level Boxing, and today I'm going to talk to you about something that might be the most important thing a coach ever talks to you about, especially if you're someone who aspires to represent their country at the Olympic Games, if you aspire to win an Olympic gold medal, or if you want to become a world-class fighter, a world champion. And that is, how do you perform at your absolute best? How do you train your mind, rather, so that you can perform at your absolute best? Today and several days, we're going to be talking about fear. And the reason I want to talk about that is because in boxing, you hear a lot of coaches, even high-level coaches, that will say, boxing's 80% mental, 20% physical. Now go out there and hit a bag. Where is the mental training, right? I've been involved in this sport for over 25 years, and I have rarely seen coaches that will sit down and discuss fear and how to overcome it and what you need to do mentally in order to perform at the highest levels, okay? The only time that I really encountered it were the times where I was at the Olympic Training Center, okay, in Colorado and in Marquette, Michigan. So what I want to do with you guys is I want to discuss that with you, right? Because the reality is that when you're a high-level athlete, well, first of all, let's talk about the type of fear that I'm talking about, okay? Because people that don't box, the fear that they think we're talking about is the fear of fighting. That's not the fear I'm talking about, because I already know that if you're a high-level athlete, if you're someone who aspires and has already made the commitment to become an Olympic gold medalist or a world champion, you have already come to terms with the idea of having to encounter and engage and control violence within the ring, okay? You are not afraid to physically fight, okay? Now, people that are hobbyists and that's not what they want to do, yes. The fear that they're talking about is the fear of physical confrontation. That is not the fear I'm talking about for a high-level athlete or someone who aspires to be an Olympic gold medalist or a world champion. So what is the fear I'm talking about? What is the fear high-level athletes, high-level boxers face? The fear of losing. People that don't compete at a high level, have never competed at a high level, really don't even understand what that means, okay? But let's talk about that, the fear of losing. The fear of losing is, you know, I remember so many times having a hard training in preparation for a big tournament, a big fight. And right before the day of the fight, walking to the ring is when that fear would creep in the most. It would always happen like right before the fight. That's when fear was the worst, right? And I remember walking to the ring so many times and my legs feeling weak, like I couldn't even hold myself up. And I would think to myself, how are my legs weak? I just had the hardest training of my life for 6 weeks. My legs should be stronger than they've ever been before, more conditioned than they've ever been before. Why do I feel like I'm gonna just pass out right here, right? And it was all that fear and doubt would hit me right before I hit the ring. And let me tell you, that is 100% natural. If you're a good fighter, if you're a world champion, if you're someone that's a high-level athlete, you've become good at disguising it. And we will talk about disguising it and how to go about doing that as one of the processes of overcoming fear, right? Like you shouldn't show your hand. You shouldn't show the world, you know, how afraid you are. You should display confidence, right? But the idea that nobody feels that going into the ring is completely false. Everybody feels that before they get into the ring, okay? And what it is you're afraid of losing. So in other words, for most human beings, they will always focus on the worst possible outcome, okay? You can focus on the best possible outcome, or you can focus on the worst possible outcome. And I think that there's just something with most human beings that they tend to focus on the worst possible outcome. So right before competition, as I'm walking to the ring, what is the worst possible outcome to me? That I lose the fight, that I've worked so hard to win, that I let my coaches down, that I let my teammates down, that I let my family down, right? All these sacrifices that I made, all the times that I said, no, I'm not gonna hang out with this person and that person, it was all for nothing because I lost, right? And so afraid of losing. But it's not even being afraid of losing. It's being afraid of what we think losing means. In other words, we put meaning on what losing means. We try to identify and say, okay, losing means this. What did it mean for me? Well, if I lost, I assigned meaning to it. Isn't that crazy? I assigned meaning to it. First of all, how do I know that I'm going to lose, right? I could easily just win. In fact, everything I did in preparation for the fight would probably increase the probability of me winning. I should be focused on winning. So I don't even know that I'm going to lose. Losing isn't even real. It's just a figment of my imagination. It hasn't even happened yet, right? But then I'm already assigning meaning to what losing means. And for me, I said, well, if I lose, that means I'm a failure. It means that I probably shouldn't even box. It means that I'm no good and I need to go find something else to do. But does it really mean that? Or is that something you're saying, right? Because you can look at it another way. You can reframe this. Okay, and that's what high-level athletes do. They reframe it. So, yes, if you lose a fight, well, yeah, you took a loss. But does it mean that you're a failure? Well, it depends how you look at it. If you're outcome-oriented, which high-level athletes rarely are, then yeah, that's what it means. But if you're process-oriented, losing doesn't mean you're a failure at all. In fact, it means that you're probably one step closer to becoming the fighter that you have always dreamed of being. I want you to stay tuned. We're going to continue this conversation, and I'm going to give you the tips, tactics, and strategies to overcome fear, to increase your mental strength, so that way you can perform at the highest levels possible. And hopefully I will see you representing your country, winning a gold medal or winning a world championship. Thanks for watching.